Hello everyone, my name is Jinjos and welcome to my playthrough of Arkham Horror LCG. We will be playing through the second scenario in the Night of the Zealot campaign, The Midnight Masks. If you haven't watched part 1, The Gathering, I suggest you go back and watch that video first. We will be continuing our playthrough using Wendy and Daisy as our investigators, with Wendy being our lead investigator. In the first scenario, we were able to defeat the Ghoul Priest and clear out a couple locations of their clues, leaving Wendy with 8 experience to spend and Daisy with 7. We used this experience to upgrade a couple cards in our deck. For Wendy, we replaced our 2 copies of Fearless with 2 copies of Encyclopedia, and replaced a copy of Magnifying Glass for a Bulletproof Vest. Encyclopedia is a very strong card that will temporarily increase our investigator skills, and the Bulletproof Vest was brought in to help out with Daisy's very low HP pool. For Wendy, we replaced our copy of Stray Cat with Cat Burglary, and we upgraded our 2 copies of Lucky and our copy of Leo DeLuca. We will be playing on the standard difficulty in terms of using the Chaos Bag, but we will be using the hard/expert side of the scenario card, which will determine what occurs when certain tokens are drawn. In this case, the skull will count as a -X, where X is the total number of doom in play. The cultist will count as a -2, and a doom will be placed on each cultist enemy in play, and to draw another token from the Chaos Bag. Most brutal, just so brutal. Oh my gosh, it's painful. And the tombstone will count as a -4, and if we fail, we must place all our clues on our current location. Lita seems convinced of a conspiracy within the city of Arkham. She believes that a secret cult serves the ghouls that live in the crypts beneath the city, and that several of the cult's prominent members are scattered throughout Arkham. As you begin searching for them, you can't shake this feeling that you too are being hunted. You have 1 night to find the members of this cult and unveil their plan. The more members of the cult you can find and interrogate before midnight, the better. We'll lay out the city of Arkham, including our home, which we refused to burn in the last scenario. Wendy and Daisy will both start at our home, and we draw our opening hand. Wendy draws a copy of Lucky, Leo DeLuca, Emergency Cash, Elusive, and Abandoned and Alone. We set the Abandoned and Alone aside and draw a baseball bat. We decide to mulligan the Elusive, drawing an Unexpected Courage. Daisy's opening hand contains a Research Librarian, 2 copies of Dr. Milan Christopher, a Deduction, and an Emergency Cash. We mulligan the second copy of Dr. Milan Christopher, drawing a Daisy's Tote Bag. According to the setup rules for 2 players, we place an Acolyte with a Doom on it in the south side location. We start out with 5 resources, and the game begins. We let Wendy start the game by paying 5 and putting Leo DeLuca into play, gaining us an extra action each turn. We then turn in our Emergency Cash to gain 3 resources, and then spend 2 to put the baseball bat into play. For our final action, we move to Rivertown, placing 2 clues on the location. On Daisy's turn, we pay 4 resources to put Dr. Milan Christopher into play. We then use the location action to draw a card and gain a resource, drawing a Ward of Protection. For our final action, we investigate, going 6 to 2, drawing a 0, and succeeding. We gain a clue and a resource off of Dr. Milan Christopher. Moving to the upkeep stage, we each gain a resource, and Wendy draws a flashlight, and Daisy draws an encyclopedia. We place a Doom on the agenda, and Wendy draws a locked door, which will be placed in Rivertown, and Daisy draws a mysterious chanting, which will place 2 Doom on the Acolyte and south side. We're going to have Daisy start us out by investigating in our house, going 6 to 2, drawing a +1, and succeeding. We gain a clue and a resource from the doctor. We then pay 2 to put the encyclopedia into play, and then move to Riverside for our third action. For our bonus tome action, we exhaust the encyclopedia to have Wendy gain 2 strength for the turn, bumping it up to 3. On Wendy's and take on the Acolyte to slow down the agenda from advancing. I would be able to boost my stats to 4 with the Encyclopedia currently in play, and I would also have the option to commit my other copy of Encyclopedia or my Daisy's tote bag to the test, or both if needed. But I would only have one shot to take out that Acolyte. Let me know what you would have done in the comments. As for me, it took quite a while for me to make this decision. If the Acolyte only had one Doom, I probably would have just let it go, but if I do succeed, I would be saving myself 2 whole rounds, and I think it's totally worth the risk. So we will exhaust our Encyclopedia to boost my strength from 2 to 4. We will move to Rivertown, then to our house. I decide that I'm going to commit Daisy's tote bag and our second copy of Encyclopedia to the test, going 6 to 3. We let out a sigh of relief when we reveal an Elder Sign, dealing the 1 damage needed to take out the Acolyte and removing 2 Doom from the board. Moving to Upkeep, we each gain a resource, and Wendy draws a Pickpocketing, and Daisy draws a Guts. We then place a Doom on the agenda, and Wendy draws an Obscuring Fog, which will attach to the graveyard, raising its Shroud value from 1 to 3. Daisy then draws a False Lead. As Daisy doesn't have any clues, we forego the test and draw a Crypt Chill. We commit a Guts to the test, not wanting to lose our Encyclopedia, going 5 to 4. We drew a 0, thankfully, succeeding, and we draw an Old Book of Lore from the Guts trigger. We will have Wendy start us out by turning in 4 clues and revealing a card from the Cultist deck. We reveal Victoria Devereux, who spawns in Northside. We then move to Rivertown and decide to take the long way around to reveal more locations by moving to Easttown and placing 2 clues on it, and then moving to Downtown, placing 2 clues on that. On Wendy's turn, she spends 2 to put the Old Book of Lore into play. We exhaust it and reveal a Holy Rosary, a medical text, and a Mind Over Matter. We decide to keep the Mind Over Matter in order to take out any strong enemies that might be appearing soon. We then move to Rivertown and then to Miskatonic University, placing 4 clues on it. Moving to Upkeep, we each gain a resource, and Wendy draws an Unexpected Courage, and Daisy draws a Shriveling. We place a Doom on the agenda, and Wendy draws On Wings Darkness. We decide to commit our Unexpected Courage to the test, going 6 to 4, drawing a -2, leading to a success. Daisy then draws an Acolyte, and through the randomizer he spawns at our home again. But as we have passed the part of the phase where the agenda can advance, we aren't too worried. We have Wendy start her turn by exhausting her Encyclopedia, boosting her knowledge from 6 to 8. We then investigate 2 times, drawing a -3 and an instant fail, gaining us only 1 clue and 1 resource. For our final action, we investigate again, but this time committing a deduction to the test, going 9 to 4, drawing a -2 and gaining 2 clues and 1 resource. On Wendy's turn, she moves into Northside, placing 4 clues on the location. We then spend 5 resources to parlay with Victoria Devereux, and we place her in our victory display. We then move down to Miskatonic University to prepare for what is to come, and gain a resource as our final action. Moving to Upkeep, we each gain a resource, and Wendy draws a Guts, and Daisy draws a Holy Rosary. We then place a Doom on the agenda, advancing it. We reveal the Masked Hunter, who spawns at Miskatonic University, engaged with Daisy. Wendy draws a Wizard of the Order, and by the power of the randomizer, it spawns in Easttown, as far away from me as possible. Daisy then draws a Hunting Shadow. We decide to spend 1 clue rather than taking the 2 damage that would more than likely lead to our death. We have Wendy starting out by paying 1 and playing a Mind Over Matter, allowing us to use our knowledge instead of our power and agility during skill tests. We then fight the Masked Hunter 3 times, drawing a -1, a 0, and a -2, dealing 3 total damage to the Hunter. We then make the decision to exhaust our Encyclopedia, bumping up Wendy's power from 1 to 3. This does trigger an attack of opportunity off the Masked Hunter, but I felt that the damage was worth the power bump we will need to finish off the Hunter. Or so I thought. Wendy then starts the turn by activating her baseball bat, raising her power from 3 to 5. We fight the Hunter, going 5 to 4 and drawing a skull. While this would lead to a success, I really don't want to lose my baseball bat at this point. So I discard Pickpocketing to redraw. We then draw a Cultist token, which places 3 Doom on the board on each Cultist, and it counts as a -2. And then we have to reveal another token, which is an instant fail. With tears in my eyes, we fail, and I have to discard my baseball bat. It's such a kick on the crotch. Feeling a bit downtrodden, we reevaluate and decide to engage and then evade the Masked Hunter, going 4 to 2, drawing a +1, and exhausting the Hunter to prevent Wendy from dying. We then spend 2 resources to play Backstab, dealing 2 damage to the Hunter for my final action. Moving to Upkeep, we each gain a resource, and Wendy draws a Lucky, and Daisy draws a copy of Scrying. We place a Doom on the agenda, bringing our total up to 5. Wendy then draws a Locked Door, which will attach to the Miskatonic University location. Daisy draws a Crypt Chill. Wendy commits her copy of Guts to the test, going 5 to 4, drawing a 0 and succeeding, and Wendy drawing a burglary off of the Guts trigger. Wendy is going to start us off by using her first 2 actions to gain 2 resources. We will then spend 3 to play Backstab, and fighting the Hunter using our speed instead of our power. Daisy commits a manual dexterity to the test, going 6 to 4. I drew a 0 happily, dealing 3 damage to the Hunter and killing him. We remove the Doom attached to him and place him in our victory display. Daisy then draws a deduction off the manual dexterity trigger. For our last action, we move to St. Mary's Hospital in case a cultist spawns there. For Daisy's turn, she moves up to Northside. We then spend 5 resources to gain 2 clues. We then turn in 4 clues to draw a cultist, revealing Wolfman Drew, spawning him in downtown. Moving to Upkeep, we each gain a resource, and Wendy draws a flashlight, and Daisy draws an unexpected courage. We place a Doom on the agenda, bringing the total to 6. Wendy draws a Hunting Nightgawk, spawning and engaging with Wendy. We then draw a second card, revealing a second Haunting Nightgawk, spawning and engaging with Daisy. Feeling the pressure from the enemies, and from our Doom count being so high, we decide to resign with the information we have gathered. We end the scenario having interrogated the Masked Hunter, Victoria Devereux, and Herman Collins. The ones still at large are Wolfman Drew, Ruth Turner, and Peter Warren. Both our investigators will gain 5 victory points apiece, bringing their experience totals to 5 and 7. If you have suggestions for the deck upgrades for the final scenario, let me know in the comments. What a stressful game. I mean, looking at my starting hand, I had a lot of high hopes. Getting an Encyclopedia, Dr. Milan, and Leo DeLuca out so early had my confidence just soaring. The decision to take out the Acolyte in the beginning felt like a pivotal move, and that painful switch from a skull to the cultist token, which led to an instant fail, was probably one of the worst bad beats I've ever experienced in it. That's all I have for you today. Join me next time for when we wrap up the Night of the Zealot campaign with the Devourer Below scenario. Thank you for watching. Make sure you like and subscribe, and with that, have a wonderful day.